doesn't take much to get into it. You know, like I say, for me today, an X-Acto knife gets the job done. You're going to need some kind of straight edge. I wouldn't recommend a wooden straight edge. Metal, plastic, or again, something like this little solid surfacing piece works perfect. I definitely recommend that you put some sandpaper on the backside. Again, I just sprayed some contact adhesive on, stuck the sandpaper on, and then just knifed off the outside edges. So you're going to need a straight edge, a knife. We don't need any of this stuff over here. You're going to need some kind of masking tape. You can use plain old everyday masking tape. The blue tapes work really, really well as well, but they're pretty expensive. Either one of these is fine. I'll probably use more blue tape today. It's just a little easier to get off afterwards. The big question is, what about veneer tapes? You know, a lot of people say that you're going to do veneer work, you got to have veneer tape. What veneer tape is it's an alpha cellulose paper or a craft paper. It can be either or. One side has glue on it. Some people call this fish tape. It'll be the shinier side. Fish tape actually isn't the correct word for it. A fish tape is something that they pull wire through a hole with. But it has a fish-based glue on one side. It's activated with moisture. You can activate it by licking it, although you don't want to do that. Better yet, usually when I'm doing a lot of veneering, I'll have a sponge that's activated with water, and all I have to do is pull off what I need, slide it across the wet sponge, and then it sticks to hold your pieces together. Let me continue to talk about these and now tell you why we use this. There are, again, there's the craft paper tape. The reason we have a craft paper tape is because it's a little bit stronger, and if you're trying to pull two pieces together, you can get a little bit more pulling action. They come in different thicknesses of tape and so on and so forth, but usually the craft paper is a little stronger. The white paper is usually a little bit thinner, and it's a little easier to sand off or to scrape off after it comes out of the press. Both have the same exact glue on the back side. They also make tapes that have numbers of holes in them. Now this one is a 3-hole tape, and I've got some somewhere that's a 2-hole tape. And obviously the more holes you put in it, the less strength it has. So once this paper gets wet and I'm trying to pull two pieces together and I'm trying to pull my tape tight, it'll just tear on you. But the advantage to using the more holes in your tape is that you have less to sand off after it comes out of the press. So there's 70% less paper here, there's 70% less work after it comes out of the press. I'll be honest with you, these are typically used after you've cut your veneer and you want to put it together in a more permanent fashion. Of course, no tape is permanent in veneering. Ultimately, it all has to come off either before it gets pressed or after it gets pressed. Masking tapes are used to help hold two pieces together while I'm cutting them. And after I cut them, when I'm ready to assemble them together, to take two pieces and turn it into one, then I'll use this more permanent type tape. However, with the blue tapes the way they are, and the way I teach people to do veneer work today, for small parquetry work, lowest cubes, radial matches, and checkerboards and that type of stuff, I just use blue tape. Because once you put it into the press, you take it out of the press within 2, 3, 4 hours. There's still enough moisture from the glue in the veneer to where the blue tape just comes right back off again. Now, if you leave it in the press for 6 months and you try to take it off, then no masking tape comes off very easy after that long of a time. So we have to understand it's okay to use masking tapes through the pressing process. And if I'm a little ahead of myself here, you'll see this when I get done with the cutting. As long as you take it out of the press quickly and you remove the tape within X amount of hours after the pressing process. Let me define some quick terms and then we're going to make some cuts. You have basically 3 terms we need to understand. You need to understand the term inlay, parquetry, and marquetry. Parquetry is taking any medium, stone, bone, shell, marble, wood, veneer, plywood, particle board, it doesn't matter what it is, and cutting pieces and putting them back together again to create a geometric arrangement. You hear of a parquet floor? A parquet floor is just a bunch of chips put in somehow to give you an arrangement. This would be a type of parquetry. Marquetry, on the other hand, is any medium. Again, in our case today, it's veneer. And when you cut and put it together, it creates some type of a picture, something that the eye recognizes. Flowers, a mountain scene, cartoon characters, whatever it might be. Inlay is a broad category that explains all of it. Inlay, technically, is where you create a cavity, and then you make a filling to fit back into that cavity. And the reason inlay is so hard and so challenging is because you only have access to one side. So in other words, if this were a solid maple jewelry box lid and I wanted to inlay a little clover shape in it, I'd have to physically cut a cavity of the clover, and then, actually it's the other way around. You cut out the shape, you put it on top, you knife around it, and then you route it to home, fit it in. But it's a lot of work because you only have one side to work from. See, the great thing about veneer is, although we can call it inlay, it technically isn't that type of inlay, because I have access to both sides of the veneer, so I can cut from this side. If it's not going in well, I can flip it over from this way and cut from this side to cause it to go in easier. So ultimately, when people look at my marquetry work that I do, I think it's really cool when they come up to me and say, wow, look at that inlay. It's one of those terms that doesn't offend me when it's used improperly about my work, because inlay is just so hard to do. I mean, all the stuff that was in King Tut's tomb was actually inlaid. And that doesn't bother me. I mean, it bothers me when they come up and look at my stuff and say, hey, man, is that a decal? I have a problem with that. But I don't have a problem with the word inlay, because the inlay technique is such a hard process. And that's the great thing about veneer, is we can completely avoid the rigors and the nightmares of inlay as I've described.